Drawing without inspiration. How do you create something when you don't have an idea for it? This is a very common problem in art, because my cat Jack, named after Jack Kirby, wants attention. I'm going to just ignore him, and eventually the meowing will stop. This goes in line with my policy of not doing retakes and doing everything off the cuff. Now, let's say your comic book editor says to you, I want a spaceship on the splash page, and I want it to be unlike anything you've ever seen in a comic book or a movie, and by the way, have it for me by tomorrow. Or the same thing could happen, you know, they might want the scariest monster that you've ever seen, unlike anything, nothing cliche. You get these sort of requests in art all the time. Come up with the funniest joke, the scariest thing. But they always want something new, original, and they always want it right now. So if you don't have any idea for what you're going to draw, and you're thinking, let's take the spaceship problem. I don't have any ideas, I'm being honest with you. I am starting this, I have zero ideas for spaceships or anything else. And that's the best way to do it, is to have zero ideas. When you don't have an idea, you can just start drawing, and the drawing itself will quite often lead you to an idea. So, let's see, having no idea whatsoever, let's just start with a shape, and we'll double that up, and put something inside of it. I don't know what this is inside of it, but it is something. And let's put a shadow in there. And as we go along, we'll just add things to it. And we'll try and come up with a good idea as we're doing it. See, you cannot afford, when it comes to your art, to wait for inspiration, because you'll never get anything done that way. So when you're doing something like this, when you don't have inspiration, you should start somewhere and start drawing things. My cat is now nuzzling my leg. Jack, I'm warning you. It's always good to have a bag of tricks, of things that you can stick on, that you think look cool in various spots. That's not big enough, but I was trying to show you a sort of ventilated grill there with space between the bars, but it's not big enough. So we'll show that some other time. Let's see. Now I'm going to work out something relatively symmetrical here. Machines are quite often have a sort of symmetry to them, so if you're looking to do some sort of machine work, then maybe you can start making something that goes in both directions with some sort of symmetry. There's little flanges or wings here. I don't want that to be the front thing, so I'm going to make it come further out here. Put a screw there. Oh. Is that a screw? Better make that a little less phallic. Let's just start making shapes, seeing what looks good here. Did I say less phallic? Yeah. We don't know what we're doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, try whatever and see if it works. We don't have to be completely symmetrical. What happens if we have a different one going off there, like that? This one might have some machine guns under it, you never know. Go back into there. So far it's not looking too much like a spaceship, is it? It's turned into something a little more steampunk. But see, I could totally throw this away. I kind of make something more out of it. But when you're designing on a deadline, if you don't immediately like the direction it's going, just start over. But I'm going to keep elaborating on this one, even though it's not a great design, just because trying to make something out of it to show you how it's done, to just create on the fly, make something out of whatever it is you're doing, elaborate it until it looks like something. Now you'll notice that this part does not really line up with what I have the body doing back here. So I bridge the gap here with a device. What is that? Is it a hydraulic pump? Is it airfoil? Is it a storage compartment for dental floss? We don't know what it is. Could be anything at this point. But it bridges the gap, and it shows that this isn't just hanging out in space in isolation. Now maybe there's a little alien pilot in here. Too small. It's got a control board. But we're not going to show the whole thing because this is reflective, right? So we're going to put some reflection on it to show that this is reflecting. It's got its little control board with little controls on it. A little reflection back here on this. This is a continuation of it. And he's got to have a door to come in, I suppose. Put a door handle on it, why not? Squat little buggy thing, little Volkswagen thing you are. This is not nearly long enough. So let's make it two-part. As we continue to build up and subdivide, you don't have to know what a detail is to add it. You don't have to have a plan for it. You don't have to be able to say, oh, this is a machine gun, or that detail is an air vent. You don't have to know, because we're doing art here. We're doing a science fictional creation here, so we don't have to know exactly what all this mechanism is or how it functions. It's none of our business. That's the job of the future scientists who invent this wacky stuff, to know what this stuff does. You're the artist. You don't need to know. Boy, I hope the mic didn't just pick up my stomach growling. Huh. I have not had lunch. This is number 7. A lot of my spaceships are number 7s. I don't know why. I just like that number. I was born in July 25th, 1960, so if you add up 1 plus 9 plus 6, that's 16. Add the 1 plus the 6, that's 7. If you add up 2 plus 5, that's 7. And of course the 7th month is July, so. Let's extend this to you can see this is not planned. None of this stuff is planned. This is just the way it's coming out. It is what it is. See, they gave us an assignment and we haven't got time to plan it. So we're just going to do it like this. And we're going to put another little wing back there just because it seems right. Don't it? Does it seem right to have more than one back there? Yeah, we can make another vent thing there. Come off of, actually a wing would not be coming off of something like that, but maybe that's a jet engine and not a vent. Who knows what the hell it is? I don't know. So the point, I certainly do not know. Now, when I'm doing this, you might think that I have a plan. Seriously, I just want to disabuse you of that notion. When I came down here and went out like that, you might think he's putting that little thing on there because he has some sort of plan. No, no. I have no idea why I did that. But since I did it, let's just make it into something. I was doing that, just improvising on the fly. So let's make it into something. There's a thing out here, there's a device that is necessary to the functioning of this ship. It's right back there. In fact, it's wired into the ship with a little wire. And there's not enough stuff over here. So, and this wing is not, let's see, a wing that kind of comes out opposite. Yeah. I have that right there, make a connector right there, and here's our opposite side wing, opposite that wing. And, you know, sometimes there's an old Byzantine pattern that they used to put on walls that goes something like this. It's like an L. And the next one is like this. The next one is like this. These are like ancient patterns for like decorating things, and then you can make these more complicated by going like that. When you look at it, everybody would be well served to pick up a book of ancient architectural and art patterns. Let me just fetch one actually. Hold the phone. Finding a book. Okay, how unprofessional is that to walk out in the middle of a video? Here's an example of the sort of book. You can find this at a bookstore. This is 1001 Designs and Motifs from Historic Sources. And I don't know how much you can see on this, but this whole book, it's a very old book, is just pen and ink duplications of old motifs from the Moorish, the Japanese, the Gothic. There's all Renaissance, floral motifs. A book like this is indispensable for an artist, even if you never specifically copy anything from the Arisian era or the Egyptian era. Just to look through it and see some of the designs, you get so many ideas from a book like this. Even if you want to draw comics, this is a book that I recommend for any comic artist. The time will come when you want to fake in something Egyptian looking or, you know, Greek looking. This is what you reference when you want to do that stuff. So those kind of books are good. Let's keep going on this. See if we can make this into something that isn't horrible. Right now it's not looking too great. But let's see. Which end of this was I using? See, I have a curve there, and by have a curve, if I want something to go into that curve, like that, I have to show the distance, the separation between it. See what I'm saying? And make this edge, where it's going in, line up with these things. It's not a fair drawing, but you get, yeah. That's Jack, I agree, yeah. Jack's a good cat. That's my cat, Jack. He likes me better than the kids, can you imagine? Right. attach more. This needs more stuff on it. More subdivision, really. Sometimes if something looks a little blank, we just want to subdivide it a little more. Real machines have rivets and seam lines and molding lines and all sorts of things all over them. So don't be afraid to be complex. Real things are complex, and when you draw something complex, it looks real to people. Before I put anything else in here, I'm just going to take some of these dead areas, and instead of filling them in with details, I'm just going to make a little reflective shine on it, super shine. Another thing you can do with dead areas is you can make them have a certain amount of reflectability, and then they look visually interesting. Okay, so you got this dead area in here. Instead of putting a bunch of knobs on it, and see, this area is a continuation of that area, so that's why it's also going to have that high reflective, high contrast surface. Okay. You're doing reflection, though. Don't get into the border. If this is the border, you want to keep the reflection off the border. Don't come all the way to the border, because that just doesn't look right. So then we can come back here, put some and one nice pattern that everybody should have in their bag of tricks is when you do this. It just looks like straight up and down lines, right? But if you add this, okay, now what does it look like? It looks like flanges that are like in a ventilator or something. Now we can even make that effect better by adding some of this. See, now we have some separation in there, and we could do that all the way up. We could stop in the middle like this. This is a real just a good little thing to put in your visual bags of tricks. See the way I've just created a high contrast thing where it looks like there's a bar running through the middle. I don't have to draw it in. I don't have to show how it attaches or anything. I just sort of created a visual illusion there. And then if we go a little further with this, we can put this inside a frame, so that you can see how it's starting to look more and more like some kind of vent here. And then if we want to realism, we can, set that frame inside another frame and build up where it's coming from, and then maybe put some rivets on it. You can put reflection on it. You can do all sorts of things with it. But everybody should have a certain number of little visual tricks like that you can just fill in things with. Now, I'm not going to put a lot of reflection on the rest of this because I wanted to sort of move on. I just wanted to show you a little bit about how you can fill in some dead spots with reflection. This could be, have a little over here. This under here certainly would be, shadowed. It's highly reflective though. Back here, start to see how these things are done. We get underneath these things and we start filling in shadows wherever we see them, wherever they should be. Like this right under here, this whole thing is a shadow, shadow, shadow. Okay, so we're drawing. See, what we're trying to do is draw. Without inspiration, the drawing itself becomes your inspiration. So then, this is a very strange vehicle. So we might have another very strange vehicle over here. So let's make it completely different now that we're rolling. I'm running out of space. I think you get the idea here. I just have a bird of prey. Okay, Star Trek fans, do not call me on that. I know it's not a Star Trek bird of prey for Pete's sakes, but there's a bird-like quality to it. Got some more vehicles here. Make this one a blimp. It doesn't really shape like a blimp, but if we do this, make the shape better. It's a blimp going away. But let's not fix anything right now. Let's just start with some stuff down here. What are we flying over? I have no idea what this alien city is going to look like. I have absolutely no idea, but I do know this. If I don't start drawing it, it'll never get drawn. So we don't need to wait for an idea to start. We're just going to start. Oops. Knocked my eraser off. See that what I'm doing here with the building is the same thing I did with the spaceship. I'm just putting lines and shapes together. I haven't thought through any of this on any level. But if I don't see how it looks, then I won't know how it looks, right? So we got to see. And we got to have something different here, I think. Because these buildings aren't, and you see my line is just completely wobbling. Part of that is a function of standing here with one, I literally have 1 foot on my upstairs steps. And it's kind of awkward to not be able to turn the drawing at all, which I'm very accustomed to turning things at my drawing table. But that's all right, I'm not going to complain. Except for I just did. Yeah, that's a 1. But cities have more than 1 building. So let's do something over here that's a little different. Alien sort of skylight here. This building. Point. And on this side we might have some very different windows because they are actually sticking out from the building. See how easy it is to make something in 3 dimensions stick out, and we could do a row of those, or we could vary it. You know, maybe only the top one is square. Maybe the next one has more than one. Things. See what I'm saying here? The whole message of this is don't wait for inspiration. You will find things to do if you start doing them. Once you start drawing, and maybe you throw all these ideas out but the one, and then say, oh, that one building, that one spaceship I put in the background, this one's better than that one. Let me draw up a better version of this one. You know, you don't know. Now, this is an alien city, so who says it has to be, you know, look like human buildings? Who says they have to have symmetrical things on top? They don't have to be symmetrical at all. In fact, we can put something coming out on the side, build it up more, have enough room. You get the idea, an alien building might bulge out to the sides. We could make a building here. This one is going to be heavy black. I'm going to make a heavy black design right here. I'm not even going to plan where I'm going to put these blacks at first. I'm going to put a big one, a little one, top of the building is going to be light. This whole side is going to be black, black, black. See, when you're using heavy black, you can get really dramatic really quick. And you don't have to be symmetrical about it, necessarily, because it's an alien building. So alien buildings don't necessarily have to be symmetrical. See how you start to get a little drama in there with that. With the black can be very dramatic. If you're on a nighttime scene, then you're going to be blacking up a lot of things. Okay, black buildings, you can do all sorts of cool things with the black. Like I could just, you know, you put a different shaped window on top, or you put an arch on top. There might be some banner or something there that you can't read in the dark. Some banner, you know, title. This is the Wyman building or something. You know what I mean? Anywho, I'm not going to work all this background in. I'm going to erase this, and we're going to make this a short video. We will do this periodically, talking about how to just make things off the cuff without thinking. Now, if I had to plan this out, I have to say I would have never planned that vehicle. That vehicle could have never been planned or thought of ahead of time. The only way something like this comes about is it evolves as you draw it. One thought leads to another thought, leads to another thought. You don't just have the end product crystallize in your mind. A lot of times you have to draw something out and see where it goes. Now, if I was trying to design a spaceship, frankly, I would not stick with this design. It's not good enough. But if I was trying to draw something fat and chunky and sort of steampunky, this might be a good starting point to do that, and then take a piece of tracing paper, lay it over the top, and refine it, fix some of the crookedness of it, and then see what it looks like, and go through several versions of it, adding things, taking things away, straightening out, making more symmetrical. Eventually, this could turn into a nice little steampunk, you know, short and chunky ship. But this is just the beginning stage. But if you don't start drawing and start just throwing things out there, you don't get to this stage, and you don't get to the refinement stage. Sitting, you know, at your drawing table going, what is my idea? That doesn't help anything. When you're stuck for an idea, put pen to paper and start drawing things. Okay, we're going to get rid of this. And I'm going to wrap up this video. I'm shooting this alone without Anya, so I have to walk around and turn it off myself. But I'm going to get rid of this. And I want to tell you that the last video, if you watch, I want to apologize if you watched the Fin Fang Foom video. I'm going to apologize right now, because when I was talking about what we have learned, sort of the what we have learned Charlie Brown moment at the end, I was standing and blocking part of the picture while I talked about it, so right now I'm not sure where I am in the shot, but I do know that I'm not blocking. So I'm actually down on one knee on the step, and then my other leg's on the floor. But yeah, so it's a learning process. I'm not editing anything. These are off the cuff, you know, so I will try in the future. I will endeavor mightily to not block too much when I'm at the end phase and discussing what have we learned, if anything. Okay, so well, I hope you enjoyed that little foray into making something out of nothing, and I hope to be putting some more videos up online real soon. I have to go pay attention to my cat. Thank you.